Welcome to the mental wasteland. I'm the Pale Inquisitor, the monastic warden of this completely desolate landscape of shattered illusions, and, well, today I'll be your guide. We're exploring a profoundly dark, but honestly utterly fascinating warning drawn straight from the records of the Abyss. In this explainer, we're going to break down the tragic limits of human logic and the terrifying cost of false certainty. So, if you've ever actually believed that your intellect alone could keep the chaotic dark at bay, this is definitely for you.
Okay, let's dive into this. Consider this question for a second. What if the lights you built to keep the darkness at bay are exactly what the darkness uses to find you? I mean, think about it. We spend our entire lives engineering brilliant solutions, right? We build these massive structures, formulate rigid laws of logic, light up the night sky. And we do all this to feel safe. But what if that safety is just a complete fabrication? What if our bright, shining intellect is really just a beacon, signaling our exact coordinates to the unknowable, bottomless memory of the deep? To really grasp this, we need to look at the ultimate case study in human hubris.
Act 1. The Hubris of the Glass Fortress.
So our subject today is a merchant captain who, literally, navigated his life by the reliability of the morning star. He lived trapped inside what we call the glass fortress of logic. Now, what does that mean? It's this incredibly arrogant Victorian certainty that the universe is a safe, mechanical, completely predictable place. To him, the world was governed entirely by divine order and absolute mechanical precision. He would look out at the wild, churning ocean and see nothing but a grid of predictable variables that he could just conquer with his mind and his machines. He felt 100% in control.
And this brilliantly illustrates his fatal flaw. On one hand, you have human engineering. Lighthouses, oil lamps, a magnificent vessel built of polished oak and shining brass. But on the other hand, you have the vast abyss. Here's the illusion. He actually believed that just because his brass was polished and his lamps burned brightly, the darkness couldn't touch him. He weaponized human engineering to build this false sense of absolute certainty against the massive, unpredictable unknown. But as we'll see, that is not how the deep works.
Act 2. Purification through subtraction. See, the Abyss does not care about polished oak or human engineering. When his perfectly ordered worldview inevitably collided with the unknowable deep, it was violently, systematically dismantled. Listen to this. A rigid certainty is merely a messy draft of a soul destined for purification through subtraction. That is exactly what happens. The Abyss violently strips away human ego. It subtracts all that vanity, all that rigid logic, and the false safety, until there is literally nothing left but the raw, vulnerable truth of our existence.
Just watch how this terrifying decay actually unfolds. Stage 1. He starts out as the merchant navigator, completely bloated with arrogant certainty. Then comes the violent catalyst. Stage 2. Purification through subtraction. This is where his ego is completely stripped away and his physical craft is destroyed. And finally, Stage 3. He is reconstituted as a servant of the abyss. He essentially becomes a grim collector, a vampire of the deep, serving the exact same darkness he once thought his oil lamps could repel.
Act 3. The Aftermath and the Ledger. So what's left when that glass fortress just absolutely shatters? Look at this incredibly stark contrast. In his former glory, he was a proud navigator of stars, defined by absolute certainty. But his present reality? It's a chilling reflection of his total loss of human ego. His once proud ship has decayed and reconstituted into a skeletal form. This skeletal vessel perfectly represents the stripping away of his former vanity. The transformation from a physical craft into the service of the deep is complete. He's gone from a proud commander to a wretched servant, his mind filled with nothing but the chaotic noise of his own guilt.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is my own role in all of this. As the monastic warden of this mental wasteland, I don't judge, I simply record. I maintain the ledger of regret. Every agonizing frequency of the captain's internal chaos, every single echo of his shattered arrogance, is meticulously preserved right here. The ledger serves as a permanent archive of what happens when human logic dares to challenge the infinite. It preserves the internal chaos, freezing it on the page so that we might study it.
Act 4. Markers of Vulnerability.
All right, so the captain's tragedy is securely written in my ledger, but this explainer is a direct warning to you. You really need to understand the zenith of rationality. This is the extremely dangerous peak of arrogant logic. It's that exact moment you believe you have completely figured the world out, when you actually think your spreadsheets, your routines, your technologies have finally insulated you from chaos. But reaching this zenith, it just exposes your spirit to a necrotic finality that saves absolutely no one. It is, ironically, the moment of your maximum blindness, Let this statement really burn itself into your memory. Your lighthouses are not shields. They are markers of vulnerability. The systems, the logic, and the mechanical precision you use to feel safe are really just flares shot into the night sky. They don't protect you, they just announce your presence. The arrogant Victorian certainty that destroyed the captain is the exact same illusion that tells you your modern glass fortresses can keep the darkness out.
And so, as the monastic warden of this wasteland, I'll leave you with this final, lingering thought. Look around at your own life. What lighthouses have you built to create a false sense of certainty? What rigid logic are you using as an impenetrable shield, completely unaware that it's merely a messy draft awaiting purification through subtraction? Think carefully on that before the abyss comes to collect.